Welcome to another episode of Something Witchy, a Sabrina the Teenage Witch rewatch podcast. I am Laura Cotter.
And I'm Skye Orchard.
And we are so happy to have you with us again today. It was kind of hard to come up with a question based around this episode because it was like, what would you do if your cat got lost? What I settled on was, do you have any very memorable gifts you've ever been given? And it doesn't have to be a Christmas gift. It can be any sort of gift.
My screaming rubber chicken, Bob the chicken. I got one Christmas. I have a great photo we can share on the Instas.
Like as a child or as an adult?
He's like a teenager.
Okay. That's awesome.
You squeeze it, it screams. He's still around here somewhere. Has the wide open mouth.
How quickly did your family hate that?
That's a great question. I don't know if I've ever asked them. But for a long time, I had quite the chicken collection.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like chicken figurines or just chicken toy? Like what kind of chickens are we talking here?
Variety of smaller rubber chickens as well. A chicken chucker, which is like a slingshot where you chuck the chicken at people. A chicken flashlight. Just a lot of random chicken items.
What part of the chicken does the light come out of?
The mouth. I think a chicken truck at one point there.
A truck that looks like a chicken or a truck that carries chickens?
It was like a truck with a chicken nest in not the cab, the bed.
Okay.
A lot of these I have passed down. I gave a lot to my niece Charlie to annoy my brother. And then Kiddo has some here as well. I still have Bob here and whatnot.
Was there, what was the reason behind how did the chickens get started?
I don't know. I think my dad went on a work trip.
A work chicken?
Yes, went on a work chicken. Dad went on a work trip and just got it for me. I really don't know. I might have to ask people. This might be one of the memories lost post-traumatic brain injury. I had a lot of chicken stuff. Still probably have at least 7 various little chicken things in my house somewhere.
I did not know that about you.
I surprised myself. I didn't necessarily remember that about me either. I was like, oh yeah, the chicken phase. Was it a phase? Who knows? Try and beat chickens, Laura.
Oh, I definitely cannot beat that. I will say one of my earliest Christmases that I can remember, probably partially remember it because we have it on video. Oh gosh, how old was I? I must have been 5 or so at the time. One of the gifts I got was Skipper's boyfriend. Oh, what was Skipper's boyfriend's name? It's not Todd. Is it Todd? Kevin. Skipper's boyfriend, Kevin, had a little vest, 90s vest on. And then my other gift was a child-size ironing board and iron. And to this day, I don't iron. I am not good at it. Every Christmas, we bring this up to my family because we're like, why was that the gift that you gave Laura? And you gave Lisa a rock tumbler. Laura ended up being the science one, and Lisa ended up being more of the caring about homemaking type things. Those gifts should have been switched. But the best part of the Christmas Day videotape is when I take my Kevin doll and I hold him in the same hand as the iron and I make him do the ironing.
Yes.
And it's just me for 5 minutes in a corner making Skipper's boyfriend do the ironing for her.
Reverse those gender roles.
Which just sets up the rest of my life.
I have a question.
Okay.
Who the crap is Skipper?
You don't know. Skipper is Barbie's little sister, teenage sister.
Oh, okay.
Do you know who Barbie is?
Yes, I know who Barbie is.
You saw the Barbie movie. You know the babysitter Skipper in the weirdo dollhouse? Yeah, so Skipper is Barbie's teenage sister.
As opposed to Barbie's other sisters?
There's Kelly, a tween-ish one. I think Kelly is the youngest one. She's a 6-year-old.
I need so much more about Barbie.
One of my other memories when I was first thinking about Christmases, the first one that came to my mind was the Christmas I got the Barbie airport.
Wow.
And it was mostly cardboard. But man, I love that thing. I mean, I'm sure it's still around in my parents' garage somewhere. I also had a Barbie Ice Capades where you could put Barbie and Ken on this, it was an ice skating rink, but they're you put them in these holders and then you turn a crank and they spin around on the ice.
Very innovative right there. We were mainly a G.I. Joe, American hero household there.
If I was thinking, I should have said my Sabrina, my Christmas, I got all my Sabrina stuff. I got the Salem Gigapet and I got the Sabrina computer game.
Hindsight.
I think that was like 98. That should have been right when I was 12. So we're almost to the peak of Sabrina commercialism. In 3 seasons, or in season 3, we'll be there. All right, so let's get into this episode.
Enough about chickens.
Enough about chickens and Barbies. But yeah, there's a Barbie chicken out there.
I would buy that. I don't buy Barbies, but I would buy that.
I'll be going on to eBay after this.
Oh gosh.
So this is season 1, episode 11, A Girl and Her Cat. I have 2 different descriptions of this because I feel like the Hulu descriptions are really short, but then I looked up the actual TV guide descriptions and they're kind of weird. So I'm going to give you 2 different descriptions and you tell me which one you like better, and we'll go with that one from here on out.
Okay.
So the Hulu description is a Christmas Eve catnapping renews Salem's love for his family. The TV guide description is, after a fight with Sabrina, Salem insists he can find his way home, but when he decides to hit the road, he's hit by a boy on a bike.
Wow. I want to like the TV guide more because it's more engaging, but also that was a journey that did not even encompass how we got there.
Hulu has more of like the feeling of the episode. TV guide's very fact-based. We can do a couple more episodes of these, but because I was looking at another, like one of the past ones for TV Guide, I was like, what the heck are they focusing on in this description? So
gotta catch people so they actually tune in, since
I guess
it wasn't
so.
streaming back then.
I mean, 1996, you might have the internet, but it's, not as what it is now. So you're looking through the TV listings of the week and you're like, oh, what's happening on Sabrina this week? And you read Salem gets hit by a boy on a bike. Like, your little 10-year-old heart's going to be like, what happens to Salem?
Exactly. I'd be freaking out, but also that's why I'd be tuning in, is to make sure Salem's okay.
So this originally aired December 13th, 1996. Our director is Brian K. Roberts. He also directed things like The Drew Carey Show, Teen Angel, Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place, The Clueless TV show, and he is currently still directed a bunch of Christmas movies. Writer is Frank Conniff, aka Rudy Kazooie.
Never leaves.
We have a long list of guest stars. First and foremost is Coolio as Coolio. And this was the one when I was initially doing my rewatch where I lost my mind because I was like, we are episode 11 of a brand new TV show. Yes, there have been big name stars, but they got Coolio, who a year earlier had released Gangster's Paradise. How many connections did these people have? It's insane to me, the money and the guest stars that Sabrina has consistently managed to get. CBS bet hard on this show early on, which I think is not something you often see.
I admittedly didn't realize who Coolio was while watching. I know. While watching the episode. Okay. And then I did my little clicky clack onto the internet and I was like, oh, Gangsta's Paradise. Cool. EO. And
then you started singing it. As we all did. Also, very sadly, we all know Coolio passed away a couple of years ago. I also had no idea the amount of TV shows Coolio has been on. So the list is like The Nanny, Charmed, all that, Dangerous Minds, which are not TV shows, but still, Malcolm and Eddie, Batman and Robin, Martin. He was on Martin in 1995. Also, Notorious B.I.G. was on Martin in 1995. So I was like, how many other rappers have been on these kind of shows outside of, Ice-T on Law & Order kind of thing? The answer is a lot. There is a lot of list articles out there about rappers on TV shows, more than I was expecting.
Are these mostly cameos or actual acting?
A little bit of both. Batman and Robin, he's somebody in a bank or something like that. Martin, I think, is a cameo. Dangerous Minds, it's an actual acting role. I think the thing that jarred me the most was Coolio being on a TGIF show about a little white girl in Massachusetts who's a witch. That's the thing I think was the most shocking to me. It's second only to if he'd shown up on Step by Step or Boy Meets World or one of those other shows.
And his part is just to simply say what happened to the cat.
He does it well.
He really does.
He helps them find that cat. Coolio is also featured on a Sabrina trading card.
Didn't know they made trading cards.
I did not know that either. I found that in my searching. So if anybody has that Sabrina trading card, let us know.
But it's cool. Yeah.
It's actually just a picture from a screenshot from the show. We'll make our own trading cards. Moving on our guest list. Dana Gould is Monty. He is in things like Stand Against Evil, Clerks, Dumb and Dumberer, Seinfeld, Ellen, The Nanny, something called Doe. And now I'm wondering if I just made that up or if that was a typo, but I put it in there.
I think you made up Doe.
I probably did. I don't know what that was supposed to be. Seth Adkins is Rex, so in Better Call Saul, Let Me In, Bad News Bears, and was in the Titanic as a 3-year-old Slovakian boy. Joe O'Connor plays Joe. Fun fact, he also played Melissa Joan Hart's dad on Clarissa Explains It All. He was in Mad Men, The Young and the Restless, Melrose Place, Friends. Carla DeVito plays Mary. She is married to Robbie Benson, aka Beast from Beauty and the Beast, aka Serena's dad. She was in Meatloaf's Paradise by the Dashport Light and Bat Out of Hell. She's a singer as well as an actress. And in 1981, this was from her Wikipedia page, in 1981, DeVito released her debut solo album, Is This a Cool World or What? And the track Bloody Best was intended to be a rock musical about a female pirate in the 17th century.
That sounds amazing.
That's why I put it in there. I thought you would like that. Dave Allen is the pizza manager in things like Gilmore Girls, Star vs. the Force of Evil, The Naked Trucker, and T-Bone's Show, which is his biggest credit, and I don't know what that is, and I'm scared to find out what it is. Carrie Norton plays Lulu. Angeline, right? That's how you say that? The Billboard Queen. Yeah, Angeline, the Billboard Queen that just came out a couple years ago. Battlestar Galactica, The Weird Al Show. She was also a gymnast before becoming an actress and was a former member of the British national team for rhythmic gymnastics. We have Billy West as the voice of Newt, which if you have watched anything that is animated, chances are Billy West was in it. He has 287 credits, including things like Futurama, Ren and Stimpy Show, Looney Tunes, and he plays Doug on the show Doug.
Doug.
Big names. Lots going on in this episode. What are your overall thoughts?
I'm not a big fan of Christmas shows, or, Christmas, but it was pretty cute for a little Christmas show. Was hoping we would get a little bit more of Salem's background. We got little nuggets, I guess.
I thought it was cute. It's definitely memorable to me as far as the Christmas episodes go. I'll say that this is probably one of the ones that I remember the most. I think the little boy, Rex, does an excellent job of acting for being so young. Introduced again to another random family member. Learn a little bit more about Sabrina's family. The universe is expanding, so we know that you could also be turned into a newt for crimes against which kind, which to me, getting turned into a newt seems worse than getting turned into a cat and should be reserved as the punishment for the bigger criminal. But that's just me.
He has all that fancy furniture to lie upon.
It's true, but he has much more limited autonomy than Salem does. Let's start with our cold open. Hilda is on the phone with cousin Monty and hands it immediately to Zelda, who starts talking about him coming over for Christmas while Hilda holds up no signs, followed by a flashing red stoplight. Zelda hangs up and Hilda asks her how she can invite him. Zelda says family shouldn't be alone for the holidays, but Hilda protests, saying that he's so annoying. Zelda tells her she should have said something, and Hilda rolls her eyes.
I love how they initially set the time of year by what appears to just be a still of the house and that they're sprinkling snow in front of the still there. Classic 90s special effects.
They spent too much money on Coolio. They couldn't afford the special effects. Our outfit intro is Sabrina in a cowboy outfit saying, "Smile when you say that, partner," which is something I'm like, what is the person saying that she wants them to smile about? Is that a line from a show we should know? I don't know. It was weird.
I feel like a lot of these outfit intros are weird though, so I just accept it at this point.
I have a harder time accepting this one than some of the other ones. Zelda is making hot mulled cider and asks Hilda if she wants some. "Let me mull it over," she says, for what seems like maybe hundreds of times in a row. Salem asks for some eggnog and don't skimp on the Christmas cheer, but Zelda knows his kitty liver can't handle alcohol. Salem gets depressed this time of the year. Which, just a quick PSA for the kids out there, don't drink when you're depressed. It does not make it better. It makes it worse. The more you know. One reason why he gets depressed is because he's a cat. Zelda tells him he doesn't have to enjoy Christmas, but he can't ruin it for the rest of them.
I feel like me and my man Salem have similar feelings about the Christmas season. Just another reason we're kindred spirits.
My cat likes Christmas because she gets to sleep under a Christmas tree. She gets to play with ribbon. She gets catnip toys. Like, it's not a bad time of year for a cat. Sabrina is upstairs trying on outfits in front of her mirror when she notices a hole in the back of her sweater. She blames Salem and goes downstairs to confront him. And we get a series of, "Yeah, so?" Sabrina shouldn't have hidden her diary under it. They start yelling at each other and Zelda breaks it up. At one point, Salem says Sabrina's diary is duller than dishwater. Zelda tells Salem to apologize, but he can't figure out how to say it. Sabrina doesn't have time for this. She needs to change before meeting Harvey at the slicery. And in the background, Zelda is making deviled eggs. How do you feel about deviled eggs, Skye?
I don't actively seek them out, but my grandma does make a good deviled egg, so at like a family function if they're there.
I think I just saw an Instagram reel about this that was like, why are you handing me a dozen hard-boiled eggs to eat? I'm not going to eat that. And then it's like, oh, you took the dozen hard-boiled eggs and you scooped out their insides and then whipped them up and then put the insides back in? Yes, I'll eat all of them.
Secret is the paprika sprinkling on top, though.
I don't know if deviled eggs scream Christmas food to me.
Why is Zelda actually physically making deviled eggs, considering how we're about to see Hilda cook and complain about cooking?
I guess we don't see her physically making them. I see her taking them and putting them on a plate. But why she wouldn't just conjure them onto the plate? Maybe eggs are hard to conjure.
Tell us the rules of magic already. That's all I want.
Salem asks for a favor to tag along to the slicery because he has cabin fever. Sabrina wouldn't do that if he were the last person/cat on Earth, and she storms out. Salem doesn't understand what her problem is. Hilda and Zelda are going to leave him alone to think about what he's done and tell him again to apologize. He practices saying, "I'm sorry," and then gets an idea to sneak into Sabrina's bag. Sabrina comes back downstairs and conjures a gift for Harvey, grabbing her bag and leaving the house. Through the open porch that definitely has a lot of green plants on it for being December in New England.
Yes, I was just proud of myself. I finally noticed the porch.
I'm so proud of you.
I was like, oh, this makes no sense. I get it now.
Right. It makes zero sense. Also, Skye, if one of your cats were to get into a bag and you went to go pick up that bag and it was suddenly 8 to 10 pounds heavier than you expected, would you notice?
I like to think I would. It depends on the bag. If it's my work bag, chances are I might just be like, oh, I have 6 computers in here that I have to take care of. Cool.
Sabrina's bag was clearly like a purse backpack. That's probably not meant to hold more than a few pounds of stuff.
Maybe she's figured out the Mary Poppins charm.
Maybe. Sabrina meets Harvey at the slicery where he's looking through Sports Illustrated, so he has something to talk about with his dad at church. The Harvey story just gets sadder and sadder every episode.
Do we ever meet this father who is clearly traumatizing him?
I don't think we do.
Slowly paint our own pictures of Mr. Crinkle? Dinkle?
Yeah, Crinkle. Oh, Harvey gives Sabrina a small black box. It's a silver necklace, technically a choker. Harvey helps her put it on, and it is clearly not a choker, probably due to the fact that his sister helped him pick it out, and she has a neck like a linebacker. And in the background, I counted 3 berets.
The perfect Christmas attire. Has Harvey always had this like upper lobe ear piercing ring?
I don't know, but I think he definitely has it at least from here on out. When I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing. So this may be new. I didn't clock it in earlier episodes.
Same, and I'm clocking it. I clocked it hard, so maybe this is the hard intro. Not even a soft intro for us.
Maybe his parents took him to Claire's for Christmas.
Oh, Harvey. He would go to Claire's for his.
He would go to Claire's. I went to Claire's for mine when I was 8. Sabrina then gets Harvey's gift out of her bag, but it's been torn by Salem. Harvey doesn't mind since he was going to rip it open anyway. It's a scarf that Harvey's delighted to get. Just, here's this necklace for you, Sabrina. Harvey, here's the scarf. I made it myself, says Sabrina. You knit? I made it myself. Sabrina is impressed. They both got each other neck stuff.
Oh, neck stuff.
So sweet. So dumb. Good writing for an awkward teenage romance, writers. Well done, Rudy Kazuti.
Don't say that.
Sabrina and Harvey go to pick up their pizza, which just, when the person calls for number 17, one of the tables in the background with the Bray girls starts to get up to get it. And then we go back to Harvey and Sabrina. And then when I go back to the pickup window, the girls are shaking their heads like it's actually not their order. So they thought it was their order, but it's not their order. And who amongst us has not almost taken the wrong order at a restaurant? I've definitely done that.
I'm always paranoid. Like, I'm checking my receipt, checking again. I go up tentatively and I'm like, mine, please?
My favorite's when somebody else goes to get yours and then you have to like fight it back from them and be like, no, this one's actually mine. Like, I know we have the same name, but this one's mine.
The cons of having a common name.
Harvey notices that he and Sabrina are standing under mistletoe, not parsley. Meanwhile, Bray Girl is in the background, clearly talking to the manager, asking him where her damn pizza is. And we have a very slow, almost kiss scene from multiple angles, very like a K-drama, but they're interrupted when Salem chases after a mouse. The manager comes out asking who let a cat in. Harvey recognizes it as Sabrina's cat. The manager yells at her and that she needs to get Salem out through the kitchen.
She yells that the cats are a health hazard when she tries to go out the normal door. So naturally, the kitchen is the non-health hazard way to get this cat out of the slicery.
I think his concern was less health hazard and more that somebody would see her coming out of the front door and see that and be like, there's cats in there. That's not safe or food appropriate. Salem and Sabrina are out in the alley behind the slicery. The manager tells them not to come back and slams the door. And I am going to do a mini derailment to talk about the posters that are in this alley. Did you read any of the names on these posters?
No.
We got some names. Okay, these are our band names. We have Little Monster. We have Dumping Ethyl. That's ETHYL, as in like ethyl alcohol. We have Toxic Meatball, toxic spelled with a CK at the end. We have Caffeined, Cultural Entropy, and Vanity Rugrat. I think we're going to do a poll as to what everybody's favorite band name is. What's your favorite of these band names, Skye?
Top 3, Toxic Meatball. Caffeined, and then I think Cultural Entropy takes it, though.
Caffeined is my favorite simply for the spelling and the pun within the spelling. It took me a minute to be like, why did they spell it? And I was like, oh, that's why they spelled it like that. I spent several minutes pausing, rewinding, because when you pause, it dims and then you can't read the words anymore. I spent several minutes on this scene checking out all the posters.
Streaming services really need to get with the times and realize that we are doing way too much trying to pause on a millisecond for a 20-minute TV show.
Yeah. Maybe I should just invest in the DVDs at this point.
I mean, that's the logical thing to do.
Sabrina is furious at Salem, but he doesn't get what the big deal is. There was a mouse and he chased it. Salem got Sabrina kicked out of the slicery, the one place that she has a little privacy, despite being a very public location. Salem has no privacy. His litter box is in the kitchen.
Which he specifies it's in the middle of the kitchen? Where in that kitchen is that litter box? I am concerned about the health hazards right there. Also, it's a big-ass house. You can put a litter box somewhere else.
I'm sure they have a laundry room somewhere. Where do you keep your litter box?
Not in the kitchen.
Well, I know, but where do you keep it?
I have a couple scattered around since there are 5 cats in this household, but not the kitchen.
Mine is in the guest bathroom, unless I have guests that are staying with me, and then it goes in the laundry room. I think Mabel gets excited when it goes in the laundry room because it's like a new adventure for her.
Ooh, change of scenery.
Harvey comes out and Sabrina threatens Salem to be quiet. Harvey asks if everything is okay, but it's not. Sabrina is getting attitude from her cat, and sometimes she wishes she could and she makes some strangling motions. Harvey says to cut him some slack. His brain is only the size of a walnut. Salem meows in protest. Sabrina calls him a stupid cat. Harvey offers to walk her home, and she asks for a minute. Sabrina tells Salem to get in the bag, but he refuses. He doesn't need her to get home. Sabrina and Harvey walk off. Zelda and Hilda are arguing in the dining room over who is supposed to cook. Zelda has prepared Christmas dinner for the last 280 years. Again, we know that they've been living together for 280 years. But we also know Vesta lived with them for a while. So was Zelda also cooking for Hilda and Vesta? This poor woman. She has dealt with so much from her sisters. Hilda relents and points a finger, conjuring a huge feast on the table. Cousin Monty comes in bearing figgy pudding and his familiar Newt. If you knew that your guests were magical, and you knew how you could conjure a feast with one point of a finger, would you be okay with your guests showing up with one small figgy pudding on a plate covered in saran wrap? Or would you be like, I expect a little more from you?
Maybe it has that special, I actually made this touch, so it means more. So he actually went into a kitchen and made it and didn't point a finger and zap it.
Do we see Monty as the type of man that can make a figgy pudding?
You know, I won't put it past him. He's quirky. I don't know what's in a figgy pudding, but I feel like he definitely does know what's in a figgy pudding, so.
Monty also has his familiar Newt. Hilda is upset that he brought someone else, but Zelda says any friend of Monty's is welcome. Monty is happy to hear that, Zelly, and opens his suitcase, revealing a woman who gets out and starts stretching around the room, which again, Very bold move, Monty, to just bring a woman in a suitcase when all you brought was a figgy pudding. Sabrina walks into this scene and is glad she didn't invite Harvey in. Hilda introduces Newt as Salem's oldest and dearest friend. He was part of his world domination scheme.
Which Newt was promised Denmark, which is actually smart of Salem, because if you've ever played Risk, Denmark is a safe thing to give to your ally so you can eventually destroy them. You don't want to give them Russia or New Zealand, because then they can camp out either way, and that's how you screw things up, is when you give your allies that piece of land before you eventually turn on them.
I would understand Russia, but New Zealand surprises me. Okay.
Yeah, the way little arrows work on a Risk board. Once you hunker down, you're good to go. Also, I think Newt is actually just his name, and he's actually a salamander and not a newt.
Oh.
Because I'm pretty sure they do mention that his familiar is a salamander at some point, and then they keep calling him Newt. So I think that's the distinction there. It could be a little play there.
Do you think the Witches' Council did it as like a cruel joke? Like, you tried to take over the world, your name is Newt, we're going to turn you into a salamander, so you have to spend the rest of your captivity explaining to people you are not a newt, you are a salamander.
You know, if I were on the Witches' Council, I think I would want to do that. I like it.
Maybe this explains why he was turned into a salamander and not a cat.
We solved it.
Also, do you think then this is a newt salamander? Do we think J.K. Rowling ripped this off when naming Newt Scamander?
100%. I don't put it past the author who shall not be named at all.
Do we think she really just like binged watched Sabrina? No, Harry Potter came out before, right?
Harry Potter comes out a year after this, but she's not going to mention Fantastic Beasts and where to find them or at least the characters in them for a long time. So she had time to watch and steal.
There's also enough things that we have noticed that she may have been the original ultimate Sabrina fangirl and just plagiarized.
Who knows?
Not saying that was real. Just saying. Don't sue me. Monty asks where Salem is, and on Hulu, the captions say Monty says out canning around, when it is clearly out catting around. As one, that is the actual saying, and two, canning makes no sense. Where's Salem? Oh, he's out canning around with all those cans. It's that time of year to put all his preserves in jars.
Yeah, that's a fall activity, Monty. That's not a winter activity.
Sabrina admits she left him in the dumpster outside the slicery. Zelda is concerned, but Salem is the only cat in town that can call a cab. Salem is still in the dumpster singing sea shanties to himself, but decides the family must be worried about him by now. He starts to head home, but gets hit by a boy riding a bicycle. The boy decides to take him home to make sure he isn't hurt. Monty is using his girlfriend as a coffee table while Sabrina looks on in disgust, which I don't blame her. Hilda goes to the door hoping to find Salem, but gets hit by kids throwing snowballs. She conjures some ice to get back at them. Newt asks where Salem is, and we just had this question 2 scenes ago. So, Newt, were you not paying attention? Were you taking a little salamander nap? We just said where Salem is.
Probably because lizards actually do have pretty good memories. I did go down that wormhole and research it just in case. That is why he forgot. It is not.
If Newt was like, hey, Salem hasn't come home yet, do you think he's okay? Like, that's a different... Instead, he just asks, where's Salem? And I'm like, we just had this conversation. How long has passed? Because it seems like 5 minutes. Anyway, Sabrina assumes he's having the time of his life. The little boy Rex is playing doctor with Salem dressed up in a cap and nightgown when his father comes in. Where did that cat come from? Rex claims Salem followed him home and asks if he can keep him. His father says he'll talk to the mother about it tomorrow.
And that they still don't know where the snake is that he had previously, which is yikes there. Also, is this the first time we see Salem in clothing?
I want to say he had like on a little bow tie when on the Halloween episode when they went to Marigold's.
Oh yeah, I think this is first like
full outfit, yeah.
Yeah, full outfit then. Pink's a good color on him.
I have stories about snakes getting lost, but they're not my stories. And there are people working at certain institutions that I think I could get them in trouble if I told these stories on a podcast.
Oh dear.
So I will not tell them.
Tell me offline so I can never visit these institutions, because nope to the nope ropes. Nope, nope, nope.
Rex and his father go to get ready for dinner, and Rex says he named the cat Stinky. Salem spots a phone he can use.
Which, this child seems very young, and yet he has a landline. in his room?
I do agree with that. However, this opens the door for me to tell you a story about a Christmas landline.
Christmas landline, in theme even.
In theme. When my sister was, let's see here, probably when she was about 16. Yeah, so it would have been in about 96. That's probably when this was. I remember my sister's Christmas present was that she got a landline phone put in her room, and it was one of those phones that had the clear case. So you could see all the wires and stuff on the inside and it would like light up. She was a teenager, so she didn't get up early anymore on Christmas morning. I was 10, so I'd still get up pretty early. And I remember going with my mom and my dad, and we called her best friend and told her to call our house so that Lisa's phone would ring and wake her up. And it did, and she was very excited. But I loved that phone.
Yeah, the clear electronic days, I wish they were still around. That's probably what got me most interested in tech, is seeing the insides and stuff.
No, they were awesome. I got my phone in my room probably around 16 as well. It wasn't fully clear. It was like a translucent blue, though. And at that point, it was a cordless.
I'd like to further expound on that. I would like clear electronics to be back so long as they are working. I already break open enough machines on a daily basis to fix them. I see the insides now in a different way that I do not want. I just want to appreciate again. Take me back. I want the nostalgia without the trauma.
At the dinner table, Lulu is petting Monty's face with her foot and he kisses it. Like, this is probably the worst part of this entire episode. I was very uncomfortable.
I really hope they paid her a lot because she is doing a shit ton of contortion work for this 20-minute episode, and she's really committing to this bit as well.
She is in it to win it. Again, this is why they couldn't afford the real snow. You're going to pay this poor woman to get her foot kissed. Which, now that I've said that, makes me have a lot of questions about Monty's face that I don't want to talk about on a potentially family-friendly podcast.
I mean, we'll see how family-friendly we are. We've already gone down the cannibalism.
We've been very careful about swearing.
Gone down yeast infections because of being made out of dough. Like,
I feel like foot fetish may be a line too far.
That's valid.
Oh.
Look at us. We're finally drawing a line. Did it.
We did dance very close to that line in the Mando episode.
Lots of two steps.
What is happening? Oh, Zelda's worried about Salem, but Sabrina wants to change the subject. She asks Monty about himself. He was born in a lighthouse, he starts. Just then the phone rings and Sabrina goes to get up while Zelda and Hilda call out Monty's claim. He was born in Nebraska, but a lighthouse explains his hat, which I'm glad we got a explanation for his captain outfit. Salem's on the phone telling Sabrina he's been kidnapped. He gives a description of the home to Sabrina, but she thinks it's a joke until Rex gets on the phone and says Salem is his cat now. Rex leaves Salem again after promising him a nice long bath so that he'll be clean for Santa. Meanwhile, Sabrina is distraught over what she's done. Salem is also upset over what he's done. And this kid in this scene has some great facial expression acting. For having a bowl cut where you can't really see much of his eyebrows or his forehead, his eyebrows are extremely expressive.
Yes, the kid does a good job. Have you ever had to bathe your cat?
No. I did wet wipe her one time when she piddled in her backpack after coming back from the vet, and her little paws got a little gross, but I didn't fully bathe her. I'm assuming you've bathed the cat or two in your day.
Oh, yeah. We had a long hair growing up, Jinxie, who would get mats that had to be taken care of in the bathtub. And then poor little Peggy, she's gotten better with age, but for a while she was still figuring out the not having back feet things, she'd just sort of topple over in the litter box every now and then. And so I'd be like, cool, let's go take a bath. But I think it's been about a year and a half since she's had to have a bath, so she's doing better.
Sabrina tells the aunts that Salem has been kidnapped by a little boy with a lisp. Sabrina wants to use magic to find him, but you can't file a missing witches report for 24 hours. And here's my public service announcement number 2. That is a myth for our law enforcement. If you believe someone is missing and in danger, do not wait to report it. The more you know. Do you know those, Skye? The more you know things?
A little star?
Yeah, okay, you do. Okay. I don't know. There's things that I think you know, and then you're like, what? And I'm like, really? I'm 40 years older than you.
I know. I am an enigma. I do know the more you know. I did think it was always 24 hours to confirm that someone was actually gone. So
No,
thank you for that PSA.
you're welcome.
I do know more now.
They may now, if it's somebody who is over the age of 18 who seems to have left on their own free will, they may not investigate as seriously until it's been a little bit longer. But if you have reason to believe that someone's actually in danger, go ahead and report it immediately. Hilda and Zelda ask what they know. He's in a house with a white door and a wreath, and he's wearing a nightgown. They go back to the slicery to get more info, while Monty and Lulu hang back because Lulu has tangled herself up. Who steals the show more, do you think? Lulu or Rex?
I think Lulu wins because you can't avoid her contortioning in the background. Like, even if you wanted to skip it with your eyes.
But I want to so bad.
And also, did you see Monty's face when he's like, oh, I guess I'll help untangle, and then like looks cringe at like having to touch her feet to get them untangled, despite kissing her feet just a moment ago.
Salem is in the window singing Christmas carols to himself and cries about how alone he is. And again, there are very green plants outside that window for being December in Massachusetts. I don't know about Massachusetts, but I do know Utah. And in December, things are dead, unless it's a pine tree.
I made the mistake of doing grad school tours in Boston in November. And that was when I said, oh, thank you. Goodbye, Massachusetts. And that was just November, so
Yeah.
can only imagine another month then.
I'm assuming there's not a lot of green foliage. The aunts and Sabrina show up at the slicery, but they're closed for the holidays. Hilda is checking the trash, but it's only a lot of crusts. Sabrina points to a poster of Coolio. He's their only eyewitness, and he's no help. Zelda zaps the poster so they can ask him. And out jumps Coolio! They ask Coolio if he has seen Salem. He remembers the talking cat that was singing sea shanties. He shows them which way the kid took him. The kid's bike also had vanity plates. His name was Rex, which is Latin for king.
Thanks, Coolio.
Coolio has to get back to work and asks if they're coming to the concert. Sabrina asks if he can get them tickets, but he's just an alley poster. She should try a billboard. The aunts and Sabrina then start knocking on doors. Now we have a montage of door knocking, where all the doors are the same house, while We Wish You a Merry Christmas is playing. Things that happen in this montage. The man that tries to kiss Zelda is Nick McKay, who is Salem.
Oh.
So I'm glad he got a cameo in this show. Did you see the person in the tree costume?
No, my brain's sort of hyper-focused on something, I'll tell you in a moment.
Can you go back and watch the person in the tree costume? Because number one, the costume is just amazing. Like, they have lights strung all over them and tinsel. But when they shut the door, they don't turn around. They just, like, waddle backwards. And then Hilda there's a kid that's pretending to shoot her with some sort of toy gun, and she acts like she's getting hit by it. And I was like, oh, that's funny that she's doing that with the kid. And then as she turns to walk away, she's like grabbing her stomach like she's actually been shot. What immortal weapon was that child wielding that he caused damage to a witch?
Maybe it was like a BB gun she wasn't expecting.
Maybe. It looked more like a Nerf gun, but maybe it was a BB gun.
Yeah, I missed all of those moments in the montage, not gonna lie though, because I was hyper-focusing on the set dressing, because yes, it was the same set, but at least they were switching the door orientation between every single one, and then there were two different portraits in the background based on the door orientation, so that's where my brain went for the entire montage, was set orientations.
Again, too much money on Coolio and the contortionist, not enough money on door budget.
So I will go back and see all of those things in the montage.
Please just at least watch the tree costume guy. Salem is looking around the room for things that could help him escape when he spots a net for toys on the back of the door. He uses it to trap Rex when he comes back into his room and escapes until the dad catches him and brings Salem back to Rex. Rex promises Salem will never leave his room again. The doorbell rings and Rex goes down to answer it. It's Sabrina. She asks him if he's seen her cat, but he says his mom won't let him have a cat. They wish each other Merry Christmas, and Sabrina notices his lisp. His mother calls his name, and Sabrina knows this is Rex. The mom comes to the door and confirms that Rex doesn't have a cat. Sabrina starts calling for Salem, and Salem hears her in the bedroom. Sabrina asks if she can just check Rex's bedroom, but the mom is creeped out and tells her to go away. Sabrina is pacing, upset that she left Salem alone. She could kick herself. Lulu unhelpfully adds that she can kick herself.
Thanks, Lulu.
I want Lulu to come back, but also not.
How about Lulu without Monty?
Maybe, yes. Okay. Hilda suggests they hide in a wooden horse. Zelda says that worked so well the first time, and I have 4 questions from this one line. Number 1, were they there for the Trojan War?
Well, it sounds like they might have known the Greek gods, so sort of lines up if so.
Is Zelda just commenting on history in general?
Also plausible.
Also, if she is just commenting on history in general, it did work well.
Well, not for the Trojans.
But for the people inside the horse, it worked out very well for them. It was a success. But that leads me to my last question was, have Hilda and Zelda tried on their own to recreate the Trojan horse scenario and they failed?
Trojan chicken. I'd fall for that.
So the fact that Zelda is talking about a time when a Trojan horse failed makes me think that in their younger years, they got into a scenario where the best way out of it was to do a Trojan horse and it did not work out for them. Sabrina wants to just zap herself into the house, but it's too risky. But then Sabrina gets a better plan. Rex is asleep in his bedroom when there's thunder and lightning coming from his closet. At which point I assume all closets are connected now.
Safe assumption, because they will never tell us.
Out comes Sabrina in a Santa costume. And in the background, there is a board game called Gribbet. Here is the description for Gribbet. In this children's dexterity game, a player rotates a handle to spin bees past frogs, which can be snapped closed by other players. Players keep the bees who made it past the frogs. The player with the most bees wins.
So this is some weird hungry hippos?
I found it on eBay for like $2.
That might be worth it. For our movie night, we can also play Gribbet. Report back.
Rex asks if Santa brought him presents. Sabrina hands him a spatula and a Neil Diamond box set. Neil Diamond? Didn't you get my fax? Santa Sabrina says he'll get more presents tomorrow, but Rex got the wrong cat. He belongs to a sweet little blonde girl that misses him very much. Rex is unmoved. Santa Sabrina will just give Stinky his Christmas present then and lays her bag on the ground, telling Salem that the gift is in the bag. Salem gets the hint and runs into the bag. Santa Sabrina then scoops it up and goes back through the closet while Rex yells, "Santa's stealing my cat!" over and over. His mom comes in and Rex sadly cries, "Santa stole my cat!" Rex must have been dreaming. He doesn't have a cat. But Rex knows he was real. He gave him a spatula. His mother looks confused.
And no one's noticing the Neil Diamond box set also clutched into his hands as well.
Also, there is a poster on the wall of this child's bedroom of a polar bear that just says "endangered" on the bottom.
I mean, I feel like that was sort of a lot of the poster styling in that time.
I wonder if we can find that. Okay, eBay for a Barbie chicken, the Gribbet game, endangered.
I totally forgot about the Barbie chicken.
eBay, would you like to sponsor this episode?
Please.
Sabrina and Salem come back through their own linen closet and go downstairs using a different hallway. They do not go down the staircase that is right there. They go to a hallway to the right of it. And then the next screen, Sabrina is coming down the stairs that lead to the front room. Nobody's used this hallway before. Okay, if that is a hallway and there's another set of stairs down that hallway that goes to the front room, that solves our conundrum of one set of stairs upstairs, but 2 sets of stairs downstairs. But also, we have seen shots where somebody has used the stairs in the front room and wound up on the staircase upstairs. What is this house?
It's a magical house, Laura.
If anybody can draw a plan for this house for me, I'd be more grateful than Salem is to be back with his family on Christmas. Salem is glad to be back. There are worse places to be during the holidays than with their family. They all gather around the penguin.
I'd love to gather around a penguin at Christmas. I would actually probably enjoy Christmas then. Just saying.
Gather around the piano to sing Christmas carols. With Lulu laying on the piano with her bare feet. Just the rage that this induced in me.
I feel like you should sue for emotional piano trauma you're getting from this series.
You have the pen cauldron. I have the piano and the porch. And now you're going to be looking for Salem's letterbox too in the kitchen.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
It's after midnight and Monty wants to exchange gifts. Salem asks Sabrina to go upstairs so he can give her something. Once in her bedroom, he promises to appreciate her and respect her privacy. For like a week. Okay, 10 days, but that's his final offer. Sabrina accepts it. Downstairs, Monty gives Lulu a ring that he puts on her toe. He doesn't care that she's poor and has no spine. She accepts and gives him his own present, a solid gold cigarette case. But how can she afford that as a circus act? She forgot to tell him her dad is loaded. Zelda offers a toast to family and friends. They all wish each other a Merry Christmas, and to all a good newt, adds Newt. In our end tag, Sabrina and the ants are watching Salem play with the wrapping paper on Christmas morning. They've never seen him so happy, and his tail is very fluffy, and the tail of a long-haired cat, which he was not in previous scenes. Sabrina thinks he likes her paper best.
Which Salem's running around talking about the reds and greens of the paper in like a little happy chant there. But cats' eyes can't necessarily register red or green due to the cones. So I'm curious if he maintained his human eyesight when he was transformed, or is he just gaslighting himself that that's the colors he can see when he really can't?
He got human eyesight, but a kitty liver. Would you rather have cat eyesight or cat liver?
I mean, he'd be a cheap date with a cat liver that small, right?
You can't drink, apparently. Like, that's what Zelda said. He can't drink because of his kitty liver.
I'm sure he has catnip wine all the time. He's Salem.
Meanwhile, Rex is playing with his spatula while his parents watch him.
Yeah, and there's a toy devil's pitchfork leaning against Rex's dresser in the background, which totally checks out.
Did you not see it earlier when Salem was looking at the ways to escape?
Not at all.
And Salem sees, like, it focuses on the pitchfork.
Of course he does.
And Salem starts to say, what about... No, not that.
I was just about to suggest, like, Salem could hit him over the head with a pitchfork.
That was a focal point of that.
I was focusing on other things, clearly.
So his parents watch him, asking if he wouldn't rather ride his new motocross bike. No. Or play with his new basketball. No. Or new train. No. Or dump truck. No. Or volcano. No. Frustrated, his father tells him to hand over the spatula, but Rex refuses. Santa gave it to him, and it's the best Christmas present ever. His mom asks his dad where Rex got the spatula. His dad doesn't know. Maybe the same place he got the Neil Diamond CD. Rex asks his dad to put on Sweet Caroline again, and his parents yell, no. And fun fact, Sweet Caroline would become the theme song for Caroline Ray's talk show. And that is the episode.
We did it.
Congratulations.
11 episodes down.
I can't believe we're 11 episodes into this. We're almost halfway through. There's like 24, 23, whatever in the season. So good job for us. Tune in next week. We'll be watching season 1, episode 12, Trial by Fury. Skye, thoughts?
There's going to be a trial. And it's going to be held before the Witches' Council. They're real mad because of some sort of magic Sabrina did. And I'm going to say it's a magical fight to the death or incapacitation because it's furious.
I will say I read the summary for this episode. Do not remember it. Cannot tell you what it's about. Don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign.
It's either so exciting or so traumatizing that your brain instantly blocks it, or it's not as furious as they're trying to make it seem. And so your brain just forgets.
Yeah, my guess is it's probably just a not very interesting episode because I read the summary and I'm like, okay, that sounds familiar, but I can't remember a thing about it. We will all learn together on next week's episode.
I'm sure will. I'm sure even if it's the most boring episode, we will still find our unhinged tangents.
Oh, for sure. I can tell you there's no Coolio in it, so that right there is a disappointment. In the meantime, please like, share, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. You can email us at somethingwitchypod@gmail.com with your attempts to draw the Spellman house, or follow us on Instagram at somethingwitchypod. Until next time,
stay magical.